Yeah. You're going to do an intro at least.
Well, Kat's taken over again tonight. I'm going to have a rest for a while. The operation and all that knocked a bit out of me. The mind's going a bit. I'll rest and recuperate a bit. But she'll take it over.
I suppose it's like 11 p.m. given when you go to bed, or when you get up. I guess this is like quite late for you.
So away you go.
Yes, so it's only a temporary setup, hopefully not for long. Because, yeah, you missed out. He's handing it over to me again because he feels that he still didn't recover fully and he forgets words and so on. So he actually blackmailed me yesterday. I say, you know, my role here in this household is to keep him strong and fit and keep him talking because it's his time. My time may or may not come later, but not now. But he says, if you don't want to do it, I'll close down the whole fucking thing. Which we don't want to happen, because I do strongly believe, because I did get him strong and upright already a couple of times. So I do believe that he will be strong and upright in the next couple of weeks and he will be craving to speak again. So whoever is listening, whoever is watching, whoever is coming, just be patient. He'll be back on stage.
Yeah, we'll get on with it.
Yes, so we can be rough today because everybody knows what it is about. So we can be rough. What's the most confronting? Rough. Like, you know, when you go and you go and you look at a person and you tell them, you know what, you don't even exist. You have no free will whatsoever. There's nothing you can do. You've got no choices in life. Like, you're totally hopeless. Life is totally running you, throwing you over the, you know, like if something bad happens to you, it's just life doing it. You have no saying whatsoever. So, like, try to go out and tell that to people on the street, that they have no saying, no free will, no choices, no responsibility. What do you mean? Come on. What about all these bad people? Don't they have responsibility? What about the pedophiles? Don't they have the responsibility? Well, they do, collectively with the whole rest of the world. With their parents bringing them up, with their grandparents bringing the parents, with all the accidents and incidents that happened throughout their lives that made that pattern what it is now. Yes, the responsibility is distributed to every particle of air they're breathing, every piece of food they are eating. The responsibility for the badness and the evil in the world is collective. It's all life. It all belongs to life. Because there is only life. There's nothing else. It's all one. So that's rough. That's rough because, of course, it doesn't mean that we're going to close the jailhouse and let all the pedophiles go walk on the streets or murderers. No, life is building jailhouses also. Life is isolating them. Life is giving people an ideas to keep the society in the shape and form it has. So
I think rough is a 30s term for full on. The 80s is full on. Pretty full on thing to say. Confronting. Australians, confronting is their favourite word.
I used to say you're so rough that Mrs. Kelly wouldn't let a little boy Ned play with you.
Yeah. And Bob is so rough that all his stepsons, they call him Ruff as the first name. Oh, hi Ruff, how are you doing? Oh, all right, Ruff. Ruff is some sort of a sacred, secret nickname going on in Adamson's family.
Get on with the thing.
Can I be rough? Can I not? Yeah, I have no saying. I have no saying for what I'm going to say. I have no saying whether it's going to be rough or not rough. Yeah, that's the fun of it. Looking at life from this perspective, from non-dual perspective, there is no sense of guilt, because whatever I do, if I screw up, I may feel sense of wanting to make up for people or make amends. But even that comes from life. Even that comes from the patterns that have been introduced to this body-mind in early programming. So really, in that standpoint, every life is just like in nature. It's like river flowing. Bob has this beautiful description about the river. You want to tell us the river going through the banks? No, you don't. Oh. Well, we can listen to the melody.
Just a cathartic nothing. Nothing happens, catharsis, and then thinking,
Yeah, so we can be less rough now because we have first-timers. And you may feel in also because you're good at dealing with first-timers. I'll just give it some space to pass.
Where are you from?
Earth.
Oh, you where's your heritage?
My friend Dan, Dan Herbertson, he's from Absolute MMA, a mixed martial arts gym.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him on the way up to Sydney, and he mentioned you, and I thought I would come and have a listen.
Yeah, hopefully he will say a bit more because
Sure.
he had a rough few months now and he's a little bit forgetful and he's kind of handing it over to me, which
Beautiful.
temporarily only.
All
He
good.
will be back. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know how much you know, guys, about non-duality because we started from the ideas that are very confronting. That there is no you, therefore you have no free will, no choice. It's just thrown, life is just throwing you like a river. So basically, just like a river flows through the sandy banks, slowly, almost stopped at times. Nothing's going on, we feel stuck. And then it goes through the rapids and then waterfalls and it breaks down and it evaporates, it becomes whatever, sky, water, rain, whatever. It's just how life lives itself. We have as much to do with our thinking as we have with circulating blood through the body. We don't do it. Life does it. We don't beat our heart. Life does it. We don't even do seeing. Life does it. We don't even quite understand how. Science has some certain explanations, better or worse, that are changing every few years. But how it happens, the seeing is happening, and the assumption comes that there is a me, there is an entity inside that is seeing. Or maybe that I am the body, and I as a body am seeing. But how can I be the body? The body is constantly changing. 5, 10, 20 years ago, this body was completely different. There was no wrinkles on it. And 30 or 40 years ago, the body was little. So if that was me, and like there is something in the body that is witnessing the change of the body, that is witnessing the aging of the body. And there is nothing that was there in the body 20 years ago that is here now. There is not one single cell. Bob sometimes shows that beautiful analogy of how the body actually came together. The food that the parents have eaten enabled the whole factory to manufacture the little cells, like a sperm in the father and the ovum in the mother. They come together and they start dividing and dividing and dividing and dividing and create the embryo, which grows. But that original cell, which came together, is long since gone. It has divided in so many parts, and the parts came into whatever organs, is gone. There's not one part of the body that has been here before, even 10, 5, 7 years ago. Not to mention they're all made of atoms, which are just a piece of information vibrating very fast. So if I was the body, which part of the body is all changing? So the ideas, spiritual ideas, are that, okay, I'm not the body, I'm using the body. Body is the vehicle of expression. I am then a soul. Bob loves the idea of soul. Huh? You have 3 souls, Bob. He's not gonna. Oh my gosh! Yeah, 2 souls of the shoes and the other. Yeah, he's not gonna jump in. Oh. Anyway, the other ideas are that we have an ego or entity, soul or ego or entity, that there is some little dwarf inside the body that is driving, that is controlling, that is thinking. Nobody has ever found it, but apparently most of the world believe that it is there. There is a me, there is a little I inside the body that is choosing the thoughts. I will choose what I'm going to think tomorrow at noon, or I will choose what's my opinion on this or that issue. Well, if we look closer into how the thinking happens, if we stop going with the popular assumption, but really check, we will very, very quickly learn that the thinking happens just the same way as sounds. The thought happen in the head just the same way as the sounds happen. There is a tram passing or there is car passing. I didn't think it to exist. Or the sound of the bird or the sound of the cat. They just come up same way the thoughts come up. Of course, they're triggered. They may be triggered by situations, by other people's thoughts, by questions. But the set of thought that is likely to come up will be also resonating with this particular computer. Of course, if there is this type of software, that will be that type of responses. But I can't choose them, really, because there is no entity that could choose one thought over the other. And if there was an idea of choice, that very idea of choice is just another thought that comes up. So the same way as the body is manufacturing sweat, the same way the neuronal connections in the brain are manufacturing mental images. So that all happens just like a river, just like in nature. So the idea that I am an ego or the entity or the soul or a little dwarf inside that is controlling the thoughts or reactions, that can be very easily questioned. Like the way Bob is showing how to question it is through the seeing. Like we don't do the seeing. The seeing is there. When we open the eyes in the morning, the seeing is already there. And then the thought comes, I see. But the thought, I can't see. We can close the eyes and see if I can see anything with the thought I. No, we can't. And the I is an instrument. It's just like a camera. If the computer is off, the eye can't see. Hey. So without the life essence that is animating the body, the eye can't see, the heart can't beat, the lungs can't breathe. So everything in the body is relying not on the soul or the ego or the entity, but on that life essence. And this is where the non-duality actually sits. It says there is non-dual, so it's only one. So the life essence is the only one, is the only thing there is. Yeah, unfortunately, he's being lazy again. I mean, he's being tired. He had a tough time. Robin sits here, you can sit here. Yeah, come in.
Just got an eye on the door. Just proved to be his.
Yeah, so the non-duality says there is only one. There is no separation. All the separation that we experience through the sensory experiences, that we can hear separate sounds, we can see separate body, are all just the condition of the senses and conditioned by the mind. When we were little children, we learned to label things as separate because that's the way the instrument has been trained to operate. And then we were trained to label ourselves versus world. So suddenly the separation came about only when the child had enough words to use the memory. So the first words we may learn as few months old, but about enough words to start conceptualizing and compartmentalizing and organizing in the mind is about 2.5. Depends on the language also, because some languages are easier to learn. And so then the idea of I am the body and the world is outside of me, I am within the skin, or even a little bit outside of skin, because if someone comes that close to me, that will be already a violation. So maybe I am a little bit outside the skin, but this is me and this is not me. It came with the words. We learned that, but we learned that very early. So this learned perspective has been reinforced throughout the whole life. So now everyone takes it for granted. Nobody even questions it, if there really is a separation. And there isn't. Because the body is totally relying on the elements, on the air that is breathing. So the air comes in, it feeds the body, oxygen travels down, feeds the cells, they're changing airs, or CO2 goes out. The water, it replenishes the body. The food, which is the matter, air, water, fire, what was it? Fire, earth?
Space.
Space, yeah. Yeah, so the body is completely connected with the environment. It can't be taken out of it. Like the water, if we take out the water of the body, it will be ash. Or if we stop supplying the water, I don't know how many days, not long. So the separation is only conceptual, is only learned. And the baby, when it's first born, it apparently doesn't even see clearly. It see blurry and upside down, whatever. But as it learns, and this is a beautiful, beautiful way that this human pattern has conditioned itself through the learning to actually create separate world of objects. And through that world of separate objects, the appreciation and the love for the whole appearance is possible. Because also in non-duality, it is called appearance. Since there is only one, there is only life essence, everything that seems something different or something else, something more than one, must obviously be just an appearance, just an illusion, just a rainbow. It seems to be. Atoms are empty. They're just vibrating very quickly. Like helicopter blades. They vibrate so fast that it looks like a whole steel blade. Or anything. It's just the vibration that makes the world seemingly real. There's a different vibration to the wavelength. There is a different vibration to the sound wave, different vibration to the matter. And then even physics tell us that E equals mc squared, which means the energy is matter, matter is energy. They're all one. So that being all one, how to experience it? This is the question. Not how to experience it physically, because physically we're going to be experiencing world, and Bob is experiencing world just like everyone else. That's the mystery of the whole thing. There is nothing different than this moment. The way we are seeing objects, that's how it appears. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that the great enlightenment will suddenly make everything light and flashy and everything will be full of a brocacy shining. No, it is going to be seen as it is. As forms, as objects, as separate objects. But the sting goes of it, because now, knowing that this is illusion, knowing that the separate objects and the separate sounds are just the appearance, we can fully love it and appreciate it. There is no need for anxiety. There is no need for trying to gain, and again, to actually manipulate, control, gain, alter, modify, fix the dream, comes from the idea that as it is wrong. And whose opinion?
That's knowing experientially too, isn't it? Just to clarify, rather than knowing, understanding intellectually.
Yeah,
because
sure.
It might be confusing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the knowing, experiential versus intellectual knowing. Yeah, this is the start point actually of any non-duality discussions, because usually in absence of any other ways of hearing things, we hear it with the intellect. We hear it with logic. So whatever fits in, oh, I heard it before, yeah, all right, it makes sense. Then we may actually, okay, I agree with it, I don't agree with it, or this is a little bit far out. There is still a lot of filtering going on. There is me, my opinion, my world, it fits in to what I heard, or it doesn't. And in this way, we completely miss the message. Because what it all says, non-duality, there is no me. There is no free will. There is no choices, responsibilities. There is no separation. If it feels like it is only because of the condition that we have, because of the physical body that we're using, the whole senses, how they work. But this is not so, and it can be investigated and can be seen through. So when we see that there is a personal opinion, there is a personal judgment around this or that concept, then obviously there is an invitation to see who is there, who is judging it, who is the one who is comparing it. What is it in the mind? Is it that little dwarf that we think we are? Or is it body doing it? Or is it mind doing it? Or perhaps it is another random thought that pops up. And the moment thoughts are recognized for what they are, the life starts losing its sting. It becomes really, really nice and easy. It starts flowing. There is no resistance. Because when the thought of resistance comes, and I see it, oh, that's just a thought. I can relax back and flow with life. And then another thought comes, the same thing may happen. So non-duality is an invitation to question who is there to argue with reality, who is there to offer any resistance to the flow stream of life. And if that who is resisting proves to be just another thought, just another idea, just another habitual concept that comes from the early conditioning, then it can be basically, it will just fall of itself. And in absence of resistance, life flows effortlessly. There is no suffering anymore, because the suffering is coming from the idea that things should be different. Bob has this beautiful quote that is saying it all. What's wrong with right now if I don't think about it? What's wrong with the world if I don't think about it? What's wrong with myself, my life? Anything. What's wrong if there is no thought? And if that is really investigated, and if that is really experienced, and if that is really understood, it's not much more that needs understanding. If I understand that every problem I can ever have in life is the idea in my mind. And yes, it doesn't mean that I won't fall sick again. But being sick, or having an accident, or losing the money or loved one, or whatever, if I don't have the idea that things should be different, I don't suffer. There will be pain if I'm sick or handicapped, yes, but there won't be a suffering. There will be pain, even an emotional pain, if someone close or dear to me goes away or leaves me or dies, yes. But if there is no idea that I shouldn't feel what I feel, I may even delight in it. I may delight in a sadness. Like if someone close left and, oh gosh, I'm gonna miss her. And I wouldn't want to be neutral. I wouldn't want not to feel that connection. I wouldn't want to be zombie who doesn't have the feelings. Not that I have any saying. If the feeling comes up, feeling comes up. But if there is no idea that it shouldn't, there is no suffering. So the life without suffering, which Buddha was promising, is the life without resistance, is the life without relating, is the life without self, separate self, without center, without that little dwarf or ego or soul or whatever we believe that is inside, or that it is the body that has any saying. If there is no contradiction, like life flows and is going to show up and is going to manifest everything. There is going to be joy and pain and sadness and suffering and, well, physical pain. And there is going to be day and night, and there's going to be drought and flood, and there's going to be emotional drought and emotional flood. And if there is no idea, if there is no one here to say that, oh, it should have happened to them, not to me. Why is it happening to me? Then there is no problem. There is no problem. We have the cats, they're upstairs now. They are great demonstration of how whatever happened, they have a quick fight. And then, well, it's not really a fight. They're just bored. They just roll together. But 5 minutes later, they sleep and cuddle up to each other. They don't hold on to anything. They don't relate into anything. They don't have the self-center or the ego, but they still look after the body. They still eat the food when they are hungry. They still know where the toilet is. So life without ego, life without center, life without believed in separation is the life that is leaving us right now. And this is where it all boils down. That life, that so-called great enlightenment, or that absence of ego is already so. It is already so. If I believe I have an ego, I'm just a believer, but I don't have one. Nobody has an ego. Nobody has ever found or seen an ego. If there is a habitual pattern of relating to thinking, well, there is just a habitual pattern. It's not my pattern. Even if there is a habitual pattern of saying, this is my problem, my life, it's just a stream of thoughts that are a habitual mechanical pattern. Nobody has an ego. Nobody ever had an ego. This is a collective belief. This is like almost, I don't know how much, a lot of kids, 6, 7-year-old, they take it for granted that Santa Claus brings them gifts. And they go at school, and what did you get from Santa? They believe it. It's totally real for them. And they get bitterly disappointed when they find out that they've been fooled for so long. One friend of mine, she refused to do it. And she put kids to even worse turmoil because they were the only kids in the school who didn't believe it. Nobody liked them. So we do live in that conviction. We're fooling ourselves. There is a Santa Claus. Earth is flat. Or I am an ego. I am a separate person. And we live with that conviction. We live that truth. And we believe it so strongly that it becomes reality. It's like the beautiful placebo stories about people dying of 4th-stage cancer and agreeing for experimental medicine that is going to cure them in 2 weeks. And they walk off the hospital completely cured. And then they read the article in the medical magazine, yeah, that was an experimental, that was placebo. And they fall in cancer and die. Placebo, when we believe in healing, when we believe we loved, we thrive. Belief, this whole thing is a game of belief. Even the way we perceive reality is a belief, is a conditioned belief. We learned that as children. We learned to see, we learned colors, shapes, forms, sounds. And that is a projecting and receiving machinery. That is a collective hallucination. And we are hallucinating as life, as the life essence, hallucinating the transmitter-receiver who is creating, transmitting, and receiving the world. They interconnected, they one. World cannot exist without me acknowledging it. And I, the body-mind, cannot exist without the environment. So there's only one. There's no separation. But of course, it's not easy to see. Same as for a 7-year-old, it's not easy to see that the Santa is not real. And for hundreds of years, the whole science, greatest brains in the world, wouldn't question that Earth was flat. And then again, for how long the Earth was going around the sun? And they would kill you, burn you at stake if you would say otherwise. The same thing happens with assuming the personal identity. There is no personal identity. It feels like it is, just the same way it felt like there was Santa Claus. So that's really all about it. And yeah, there will be more stuff coming up. Maybe Bob will contribute. But
can you say a bit about until it feels like it doesn't, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there is. It's not only a possibility because it is a certainty. The waking up from the idea of separate self is waking up to the fact that there was never was a separate self. So the moment that's how it happens. And I didn't hear that many stories, but about every one of them says that when I discover, oh my gosh, there's nobody here. But there never was. There never was. It doesn't mean that, okay, I have my great experience walking through the park or doing whatever, sitting with Bob, and that great experience relieved me from the burden of self. I will never be self-obsessed again. the week earlier prior to it, I was running my life, I was driving my ships, I was making my money, I was sorting my relationships. Now there is no me, the me died and nobody does it. No, I was never ever running my ships and running my relationships. Always only life did it. Just like the Santa Claus. Children were receiving gifts. When they realized Santa Claus was not real, the gifts didn't disappear. The gifts were still there. If the kid got the bicycle is still there in the garage. So if there was an idea that there is an ego running this body 3 years ago, and the ego is going to work or making money, and now the realization came upon that, oh my gosh, there is no ego. But it doesn't mean that the money hasn't been earned. Life prepared this body to look after itself. Life expressed through that body. The way child is learning how to walk by falling and getting up, learning words. Nobody does it. The ego is not developed. The idea of the separate ego is not even developed back then. So the ego is a learned, how you call it? It's just a mental image, mental conceptual image that is learned and is embodied and is believed so strongly that people die for their beliefs. They die for their religions. They die for their pride or their honor or whatever. And this is all just thoughts running the show. So now, waking up from the thoughts running the show is not entirely possible, because the thoughts will keep occurring. The thoughts will keep running the show. The thoughts will still, well, there is a possibility with a brain damage or Alzheimer or whatever, that the thoughts won't be showing up. But if the thoughts are still there, creative thoughts or whatever, even judgmental thoughts, they're still there, and they are understood for what they are, they're not a problem anymore. If the thought appears and this is just a thought, what's the problem? It's no problem. It's just like sounds are not a problem, unless of course they're threatening for the safety of the body. So suicidal thoughts would probably be a problem. But sounds, sights, whatever, they just appear on the screen. They just appear in the blank screen of awareness, and that awareness is that's that one life, that one life essence, that one emptiness, cognizing emptiness, which means intelligent space, forms, vibrates, forms sounds, sights, forms objects, matter. That one space is what I am.
And life would show up to, tell the other kids that Santa does exist, and tell the parents that they still believe in it,
Yeah.
It's just like, so life would still, use the word I to everybody out there, just do whatever to
Totally.
function as everyone else believes it is.
Yeah, there is literally no difference. They say, there is a famous Zen saying, before enlightenment, chop the wood, carry the water. After enlightenment, chop the wood, carry the water. Life is just the same. Only, and this is what Nisargadatta was saying, the beautiful, beautiful description, recognize dream as a dream and the rest will be done for you. There's no need to do anything else. Just know that this is a dream. When the thought, the conceptual world takes you over, you completely miss out on life. You don't see, hear, taste, touch and smell because you're so preoccupied and busy with the drama going on here in the commentary. Just wake up and see, that's a dream. And that's it. It's nothing really more to it. Just recognizing moment to moment dream for what it is. It is a dream. Waking up from the dream is a different story. It's probably going to happen when the body dies and it stops dreaming. But as long as the body is there, there will be seeing. There will be hearing, seeing, tasting, touching, smelling. And all that seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling is Maya. This is all appearance. This is illusion. So this is dreaming. The world is being dreamed and is being received and transmitted. So waking up to the dream is the invitation. Waking up from the dream is none of our concern. Right now it will happen or it won't. Who cares? I mean, what is what usually brings people to spiritual search is suffering. So waking up to the dream, understanding the dream for a dream, is waking up from suffering. Because if there is no me to suffer, life just does its thing, and now it's winter. Okay, well, bad luck. Okay, fine. I prefer summer. Well, so what? If there is no one here who has the problem or objection with what is, there is no suffering. So that's, that's it. Yeah, go. Tell me, come on.
No, so, more sort of natural lifestyles, like Eskimos or Aboriginals in the days gone past when they're just a much more natural existence, and they had their whole, dreamlike also, just, I guess, understanding of life.
Yeah.
Those sorts of people, basically then, if they're superior, because in a sense they know these things already.
I don't know about the superiority, because see the way the whole
they suffer less because they know what is.
You can tell now that the dogs and cats are superior also, because they don't have an ego, they don't know suffering, they are okay with whatever happens.
Yeah.
And are they really? Like, can the dog or cat, I love them to bits, but can they experience waking up if they never fallen for a dream? So I don't know how about Aboriginal people, I didn't meet that many, I worked with few of them, but they had strong egos. Yes, they were more in tune with nature, they were open-hearted, beautiful people, but the sense of separation comes with the language. So if they speak language, they already know the labels, and of course animals have language too. They have sounds, the birds are warning each other, and the wolves or whatever, they do have language. But as far as the science is concerned, the part of the brain responsible for hallucinating separate self is undeveloped in the animals. It may be to a certain extent in chimpanzees or big apes, but animals, no. So, because the whole sense of separate self is a hallucination, is a conceptual image, is learned belief. And now, if you don't have it, if you don't develop it, you can't wake up from it.
But in more tribal societies, there is much less of a sense of self. It's a group.
Yeah, there may be. There may be. So it's much less of the potential of awakening. Much less of the, much less of the beauty of that enlightenment. Because, in the duality and the whole appearance is, that's how it is designed. It wouldn't be there if it wasn't appearing dualistically. There wouldn't be day if there was no night. There wouldn't be a body if there wasn't a space around it. There wouldn't be a sound if there wasn't a silence. Everything comes in interrelated opposites. And it has to come this way. Otherwise there is nothing. So now, falling for a dream is a prerequisite for the awakening. If there is no falling for a dream, the awakening is impossible. And now, how is that cosmic self or universal intelligence or life or awareness or cognizing emptiness, how is it really to know itself if it just is? It's just being, there is nothing else, being. That's it. How can it know itself? To know your own being, you have to just get out of yourself to actually experience the being. How can you get out of yourself? And if you do, you're not knowing the being, you know something external. So the only way the intelligence can grasp a glimpse of itself is to reflect itself. It's never going to find itself, it's going to find a reflection. So this is how the emptiness becomes form. It reflects in form. It finds the glimpses of itself. And unless you have, it seems like a human development enables that intelligence to grasp the glimpse of itself. Because if you don't have the sense of separation, if you just flow like a river, your awareness of being and your awareness of intelligence is one. You can't actually experience it as the other. But when you think you are an ego, when you think you are a separate self, and then you wake up to the fact that, oh my God, I'm not. I'm the totality. I am that emptiness. I am every form. This is my face. Wherever I look, I have a glimpse of my own self. Only because you forgot completely, you fell for a sleep of being an individual. And as individual, what do you know about God? Absolute. Nothing. Only what you believe about it. It's not really experienced in the way it can be experienced when you wake up. When you wake up from the obstruction, because really what Bob is always saying, and what is absolute truth every moment for everyone, you already that. You can't be anything else than that, because everything is that. So you are that emptiness manifesting as forms, dreaming that room, dreaming everyone in that room. You are that already. But on top of it, you believe in Santa Claus. So basically, you are that. You're waking up to what you already are. You can't work your way through meditation or practice to become something enlightened or someone superior, because this is, again, the whole idea of becoming someone superior, someone better in future is a dream. This is a dream. So you can fall for the dream and have a wonderful life, going for the meditations and singing, and why not? Life does it. Life is playing that play for many, many people. They're dreaming different dreams, and that's beautiful. But you found yourself here. So maybe you can wake up. Yeah. Wake up to what you are already. Because you are not going to become something. You're not going to be waking up after amount of meetings. You are that already. You can't be anything else. See how your body is functioning. Your heart is already beating. You're not doing it. Your hair are growing. You're not doing it. You're not doing the seeing. You're not doing the thinking. You don't know your next thought. You don't know what you're going to be thinking in 5 minutes. So it is already happening. And then on top of it, there is idea, but you know what? It feels kind of tight here. You know, I care more about this than about that. And the problems are on mine, and they're serious, you know, and they kind of make me shrink inside. They make me insecure. On top of it, I believe that, you know, I have to work on me because I have to become better, because I'm not good enough. I'm inferior. I'm unworthy. Those are all just thoughts displaying on the screen. And oh boy, I believed it all my life. I believed in the thought of unworthiness, of low self-esteem. I believed it. And it was totally experienced. People were telling me, different gurus, before I met Bob. When I met Bob, I didn't believe it anymore. But I believed that it was my reality. And when they were saying, no, you can't be separate. You can't be, because everything is that. Everything is that life expressing as forms. How could you be apart from everything else? You can't. But I say, yeah, you know what, but I don't feel it. I feel that sucking void there, that sense of inferiority. And it's there and it's real. I can't look at people who are, you know, the captain on the ship or a guru. I can't look at them as equals. They're not. I want what they have, and I don't have it. That's all beliefs. If I believe I'm ugly and stupid, I'm ugly and stupid. And if I believe that I don't deserve or I'm unworthy, yes, as you wish. That's the beauty of the appearance. It's like that story, I think you, Bob, were saying that story about the wishing tree. Can you tell us the story, Bob? Please, please.
You know.
Please, I don't know it as well as you. Just one.
Look, I'd be talking if I could talk or not.
Oh. Okay, so the story about wishing tree was that the guy was walking the desert. I will probably blow it. Was walking the desert, and he found the tree on the desert. Oh, how blessed, how lucky I am. I'm going to sit and rest under that tree. And then he's sitting and resting in the shade of the tree. Oh, how wonderful. It would be ideal if I only had a nice meal. And then, bang, the meal comes up because it's a wishing tree. And he says, oh gosh, if I only had a beautiful drink with a nice Copacabana with little umbrella. There you go, the drink comes in. Oh gosh, I'm so lucky. I would just love a beautiful comfy bed to relax under this tree. And the bed comes up. Shit, what is going on? What is going on? Maybe this is something wrong. Maybe there is a devil. There you go, devil comes up. Oh my God, devil is gonna eat me. End of the dream. The devil eats him. So this is how the belief system operates. We believe in the solidity of the room. There we go, solidity of the room. We believe in the solidity of the body. There you go, solid. We believe in the separate self or the ego. Well, yeah. We believe the ego is inferior or unworthy or has to work on itself or whatever. There you go, as you wish. It's only the matter of questioning that belief and seeing for what it is. It's just a belief. What if that wasn't true? What if the ego, the insecurity and the vulnerability, what if that is just a line of thoughts appearing on the empty screen? And I am that screen. I am that knowingness on which all that stuff shows up, comes, appears and disappears. I remember Tony, this is what she actually embraced beautifully when she first came. And she had guts. She was bold. She had guts. She came from New Zealand with hardly any money, hardly any work experience. There was no job here. She had some support and benefits in New Zealand, nothing here. She just Googled enlightened people. She was really determined to find out the truth. And she ended up here. And Bob told her, you already that. Embrace it. Try to live as if there was nobody there. And she did. Mm-hmm. And she did. She didn't question it. She believed him. On the beginning, it was maybe a faith or belief.
The non-belief never turned up. So it was just good, might as well do this as much as anything else.
Yeah.
Kind of made sense.
And how is your life now?
Yeah, well, that works. Like we're having this discussion at Coles today. A lot of people talk about, oh, somebody's viewing, check out if that's really real and go, oh, who's viewing that, da-da-da. And that's like a way of going into it. For me, it's, okay, go there as if it's already like that.
Yeah.
And then there you are. And as soon as you start to think about it, okay, that's blowing. But if you don't, if it stops before that, and this just comes up like that, there's no, it just turns up that way.
Yeah.
Just gets triggered by the environment.
Yeah.
A number of times a day, and there's many times a day now. But here, the hypervigilance to the environment, the scary aspects of the environment just go back to the head. As many times a day as it goes the other way. Mm-hmm. It can be very brief, but it's just not turned up to do it another way. So, who knows? Maybe there's a package of information from another life where that was all sorted out. There's so many stories that could describe any of it. Mm-hmm. But what just happens is that's an accessible way here.
Yeah.
And to start with, it was just so few moments, but there wouldn't seem to be no other ways in, so that was appreciated. Because that was something Bob would say occasionally was, notice the times when something just happened and you didn't do it. You're fully aware that it was just a moment where nothing was going on, no meaning making was happening around that moment.
Yeah.
So when he said those ones, I really took them to heart because that seemed to be the only ones that were super available here. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like more and more of those.
And that's a very
and some
good
awakening
idea.
transmissions too, but there's never really been anything except just wait around and see what turns up. Really is just what's and more and more. So this is just making up a story, but the Big Bang, everything all dropping away may or may not happen. Doesn't need to at all. It could just keep going until it's just 99% of the time not going back in the head as opposed to 99% of the time going back into the head.
Yeah. And even that you don't really have to have preference about it, because if you actually re-evaluate your life, just like I did out of curiosity, really, to see how little I've done as a doer. Like you say, whatever, you didn't do anything. You don't do anything. You don't take decisions. You suddenly see how the whole world contributes. Like, He's Sailor Bob. I used to sail on the ships for 17 years. How the whole world contributes to that decision to emerge. For someone from the ex-communist country to actually find the way to the Maritime Academy, who was actually forbidden for women. How did that thought occur, and how did the action follow? Was it there really anyone here who has done it, who has chose it? I needed a permission from the ministry. I needed to do a lot of shit. And there was a drive here that was just showing up, the drive, the passion. I realized that, and I knew it all along. A lot of my friends back in Poland were proud of me. Oh, you know what? I like to talk about how brave you were and so determined you were. No, I wasn't. It just happened. I didn't choose any of it. I didn't do any of it. It just happened. I haven't done a thing in my entire life. Things just happened. And I can't take credit for anything, and including the relationships that fail and the mistakes that I've done, stupid things. I can't take credit for any of it because the whole universe contributed to every single moment. It is not a solo play, it is a dance where everything is contributing and everything is connected. Not even connected, it is all one. It's just manifesting in different forms. So to actually critically look back and see, artists often do it. And you do it also when you do editing of your films. Oh no, I was in the flow, I didn't do it. It just flew through me, you know. Musicians also do it, they're in the flow. Sports people, they use the expression zone. I was in the zone, so I wasn't there, you know, there wasn't any commentary going on. Like if the football player is about to kick the goal and he is having a thought, oh my God, so many people's looking at me, what if I won't make it? Oh, he's not going to make it. It's really the absence of the commentary, or if the commentary is there, is to ignore the commentary, is the way to live effortlessly in the sense of flow. And when you realize that the commentary is just belonging to the completely imaginary conceptual image that has been created only because that's the way society conditions its members. And it's very effective and a very beautiful and very creative way to condition members, to create the morality, what's right, what's wrong. This is great. This is just such a brilliant dream. Like moment to moment you realize the infinite brilliance of the whole show, of the whole dance. Of course, not if you take it personally and seriously. If you take it personally and seriously, it is all wrong. Everything's wrong. Politicians are wrong. Starvation is wrong. The climate change is wrong. Yes, and on the relative level, it is wrong. You have the water? Yeah. But on the ultimate level, nothing's wrong.
And all that really happens is a thought might pop up. Oh, that wasn't believed in. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It just pops up. Yeah, not too much more to say.
Okay, come on, people, speak.
But it's the same. It's like you say. Like it was just like a thought came up. Oh, I think I have to go to Australia. Oh, I think it's going to kind of flash in. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's probably going to be a bit uncomfortable. I've only got $900, you know, whatever. I just have to pack up my whole life, whatever. But it's like, yeah, it's just. There was just an urge. There was just a movement that way, and I just kind of suspect I could see it there. And that's before I really knew what this was about, because I really had to learn it here. But some things were just never there for the last 2 or 3 years. Some of that, like decision makings, doesn't come up, and all that stuff, and mental note taking. But when it comes to trying to understand social media, mental note taking is there, ownership, a bunch of things are there, but around non-duality, it's not there.
Cool.
But decision making isn't there around the other stuff really.
Decisions happen. They totally happen.
There's no phrases that come up. Oh, I have to make a decision. There's no ownership there. It's just like, oh, okay, now we're doing this, now that. Oh, okay. But there's a lot of self-beration, like a lot of ownership there popping up for a bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can tell you,
useless non-duality doer. You know,
cats taking decisions. If I put the beef in one piece of their bowl and I put the kibbles in the other, they know how to decide and choose. Absolutely.
What's that?
Yeah, the decision decision making. And
it's so meaningless to me, decision making, really.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know, you've got a good way of explaining, but my way is, it's like you have an iceberg. One iceberg's only ever going to get there first, but above the water, we don't know which one it is. So people make stories about one getting there before the other, and they don't know which one it is.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's a load of shit.
It's
you know,
a nice picture.
There's only ever one set of happenings. But even though that was borrowed from the mechanical universe, that, you know, matter has a momentum, and so it's all just going to, the whole life just does that. Even that's not true, because the last time I looked, it was, there may be some plasma, and there may be some strings, or there may be some, you know, things just positive, negative charges bumping into each other and disappearing, but they have no idea.
Yeah.
Still, it's been kind of handy to not be locked into another view, just to see things as occurring, you know.
It's just so relieving to not need to
We can
follow
never
and
know the
understand.
story, so what's the point?
Yes. Yeah. Did you guys have any experiences with non-duality, like anything, like meditation or anything? Any insights or like?
No, when I'm listening to this, though, the more I think about making decisions, that it is just like, don't sit there and think about it, just kind of happens and you go with it. So it's kind of freaking me out a little bit.
Yeah, finding comfort in that and trusting it, just trusting it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they happen like every thought happens. And some thoughts are more kind of attractive and charged, so they will kind of pull the body this way. Some other thoughts will kind of be repulsive. Yeah. It's such an intelligent design. The thoughts that resonate with you will be kind of attractive. Like, you know, I'm not interested in football, but I'm interested in psychology. That body is just attracted to some things and not the other.
It's great that you see that.
It is.
Like that was really quick. If this is the first time you've actually been exposed to this, that's really quick. And the whole idea of, and I know, because we've all been there, you know, when you first get introduced to this, it's like, what the fuck are they talking about? I mean, seriously, come on, you know. Because we're just so used to walking around believing that we are somebody, you know, ever since we were, you know, so big. And everybody else is walking around believing they're somebody as well and comparing themselves with others. Throw that in there. And, you know, Kat spoke beautifully on the notion or the idea of having free will. If you start to watch yourself throughout the course of the day, you'll realise that you will feel based on what thoughts are going through. You will act on based on what thoughts are going through. You know, you'll have opinion on yourself in relation to whatever thoughts may be happening in that moment. You'll have opinions on others also, or the world, or politics, you know, whatever, you know, anything, based on whatever thought it is that's arising in that moment. So our whole, that whole self-identity that we believe ourselves to be is based on whatever it is that's floating between our ears, thoughts. If you take those away completely, and I often use the analogy, you know, if I could just tap you on the shoulder and create amnesia in you, complete amnesia, no recollection of parents, brothers, sisters, where you were born, what jobs you've had, anything. Like, it was just all completely gone. If you can even try for a moment to imagine what that would be like.
So crazy.
Well, it'd be the absence of all your conditioning.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I got a good buzz from that.
Beautiful.
You have a glimpse in the morning before you download all the shit when you wake up.
Yeah.
Of course. It's the same thing, like if I'm going to meditate for a period of time, it's to realise that state,
Yes.
to clear, you know, the clutter, so to speak, to get back to that that realization of, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that perfect example of
Yeah.
amnesia, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So if you come back to the notion or the idea of free will. Now, as a person, prior to getting exposed to this, and even maybe on the first couple of meetings, I still believed that it was me doing the thinking. I'm choosing what I think. I mean, I'm not plugged in or connected to anybody else. Obviously, they're my thoughts. I'm thinking them, you know. And with that comes the idea of self-will. I'm in control. I'm choosing to do this. I'm choosing to do that. Choosing what thoughts I'm having. I'm choosing how I'm going to react to thoughts that I'm having, and so on. Like you just experienced, if you're able to create amnesia and wipe all that out, it's just a stillness, an absolute stillness. So the notion of having free will is really based on the idea, just the idea, that I'm choosing what's going on here. Now, it's really, really easy to test that. So easy to test that. Just sit there for 5 minutes, 30 seconds, and choose to think absolutely fucking nothing.
Yeah.
And I mean zero. And if you can't do that, you have no free will.
Yeah, I can never do that.
Right. Therefore, you are being lived. If you're not choosing any of this stuff that's going on in your mind, and it just, you never know what the next thought's going to be. You just don't know what's going to pop through, you know, it pops through. Yeah? So you're not the creator of that. You're not the source of that. And you can look at it in terms of, even in the language that we use. Okay? My thoughts. Who's the separate self that's claiming ownership of the thoughts? Because there's got to be a separate self there saying, my thoughts. Or as Bob says, you know, my car, my house, my phone, my keys. When we say it to things like that, we know we're not the house, the phone, the keys, or the car. We know we're not that. But we don't see that when we say my thoughts or my body. Who's the mind? Who is that? Like, what is that? It implies, even saying my, implies that there's somebody prior to the my that's claiming ownership of something. And the trap that we fall into as human beings, because we've been conditioned to be that way, is they're all my fucking thoughts. It's all my thoughts. And what I am, and you need to see it for yourself though, what I am is based on what I think. There's no thoughts, amnesia, no problem. None. So everything, what we believe ourselves to be, who I think I am, is all based on nothing but a thought that floats through. Now you can be aware of thoughts, can't you? Can you be aware of your thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah, be aware of your thoughts. Okay. To be aware of them, you've got to be separate from them. You've got to be able to view them. To be aware of them, you've got to be able to view them. Do you understand that? Yeah? But we walk around believing that what I am is what I think, and we wear it like a coat. Whatever I think is what I am.
I'm not separate from my thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, that's the belief.
That's the belief.
Most people have that belief.
Yeah.
I'm not separate from my body,
That
I
I'm
am
not-
my body.
Yeah.
I'm not separate from my thoughts, I am my thoughts.
Yeah. So if
And
you,
the tricky one is most people can kind of, if they're working through, you know, some form of realization of the, you know, non-duality, so to speak, they'll be okay with, I'm not my thoughts. You can learn that in contemplative practices and meditation, if you will. And maybe you'll have an out-of-body experience, or you'll have a moment where you realise, like, wait a minute, I'm not my body, through an intellectualization of that.
Yep.
But when people are emotions, because emotions really get you. So if
Yeah.
like someone cuts you off in traffic, or if there's something really sad happens or whatever, then all of a sudden like you are that emotion.
Yeah, they manifest in the body.
Yeah, and that's the trickier one for people to disassociate themselves from. No, that's just something that's coming up that you can be aware of based on a whole bunch of, like you say, conditioning or experience, or like a mechanism that's going to keep you like alive. Like fear is a good, sense or emotion to have, because that's a preservation mechanism as well in the body. But and it's kept us all alive. Like don't walk in front of a bus, sweet.
Yeah.
But it's a tricky one, the emotions, because we identify so much with them. And I notice more people, like most people that are in spiritual circles or awake circles, they'll say, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my body, but they'll quickly language, and they use language like, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this way today. And, they become their emotions, and that literally conditions.
So the split's still there, is what you're indicating.
Yeah.
The split's still there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, in the language that we use, and I was touching on it before, when I said my car, my thoughts, my body, my emotions, my feelings, it implies that there's something separate from those things that are experiencing those things. And in Advaita, oh God, I hate using that word now. I really hate using that word now. Anyway, it just came out.
Triggered you.
It just came out. Yeah. Boom. Yeah, but all spontaneous. That's all I get.
Yeah, no word is true.
Yeah. What we're encouraged to do is to go in search of that so-called entity that's there, that feels or believes it's separate from the emotions, the feelings, the thoughts, the body, everybody else, and so on. Okay? So here's something really, really interesting, which I think is... it popped into my head today and I went, oh, that's pretty fucking cool.
Give it.
That's pretty cool. So, non-duality is about singularity.
Yeah.
Everything is one. So there is no separation. The whole, everything. And that can be really hard for a split conceptual me to get its head around. Really, really hard. The only way that can be realised is when the me's absent. Then it can be realised. Not intellectually. I'm not talking about intellectually. So the whole idea of, my mind, my car, my body, etc., and again, remember I'm talking about singularity. Isn't it interesting if you really check this out for yourself, and everyone check this out. I fucking did today, and I went, why didn't that come up earlier? Anyway, notice how wrong or uncomfortable or just wrong it feels when you say, my I. I'm not talking about those.
Yeah. My me.
Owning the ownership.
Just because we go, part of the teaching is, eventually, hopefully, is you get to a point where you just fucking surrender. You just completely surrender, and then you're encouraged to sit in the I am. Just sit in, which just means presence. Sit in the presence, And even in the I am, there's a split there. So it's still just a pointer. That I am is still just a pointer. But when you say I, it's completely singular. It's completely, absolutely I. It's not connected to anything or just I. So it's really difficult. So what that implies, if you really look at it, is I comes first, prior to my, or prior to the split, or prior to this conceptual idea or understanding of who or what I am. You want to say something, Bobby?
But it still has space around it, like Kat said
you
before.
must pick that.
Yeah.
I saw you light up there.
Yeah,
Let's see.
we put it my body, my mind and myself. Who's self? And we think that self, we make that self a personal self. And we try to liberate that personal self. It won't happen. But if it was I self, I body, I mind, it's the one self. Everything is that self. Nothing other than that. And that self is the one self. It's self-aware, it's self-knowing, it's self-shining, it's self, this self, that. It's the only self there is. There's no personal self. Personal self is the ego.
So if we're one self, if we're all one self, how can we all have different thoughts?
But what? Hang on.
Yeah.
Why do we all have different feet? Why not just go there? Seriously. Why have different feet? I've got more hairs on my legs than you. What the fuck? How can we be the same? How can we be the same? Yeah? What's not different between you and I right now is the fact that I'm aware and you're aware. And there's no split. There's no, what's the word? What's the word? I can't think of the word. It's just clear. It's just clear. It's purely clear.
Also, if you have like 5 different radios and you put them on different frequencies, you will have different wavelengths appearing, different thoughts. It's like, one life essence has different computers. So it sees different things, it hears different things. But as Terry says...
Conditioned is the word I was trying to remember, yeah.
The important thing is...
conditioning that leads to the thoughts.
Yes, but that awareness that's shining out of you right now, if you actually look at it, that awareness is not conditioned.
True.
Can't be.
Is it?
Bob
It's not conditioned. It's like the seeing.
To do with matter.
Like the seeing is not conditioned.
No.
The hearing is not conditioned.
It's a good point.
No, it's not.
Okay, Bob, say it.
And that sense of presence or that awareness is prior to the me.
And to the conditioning.
It's prior, yes.
To
of course.
say something.
Conditioning is the me. It's prior to that.
Right.
Bob has something to say.
Well, can anybody tell me what awareness is?
Yeah.
You can't describe, that's why I say you're not unaware, are you? So you know you're not unaware, so you must be aware. So you don't have to put a label or a concept on it. So that's what we do, we put the label on awareness. And we're searching for a thing called awareness, some conceptual image. But the basic fact is there's no one in this room who is unaware. So if you're not unaware, what must you be? You must be its opposite. You must be that awareness. So you are already that without putting any label on it. So to describe it, you put the label on it, the word, but you know it's not something you're going to grasp or going to attain. Just recognise that nobody is unaware in this room right now. Isn't that a fact?
Yes.
That's yours.
And nobody can deny their own being. Like nobody can say I am not. Like the awareness of existence, awareness of being, which is in Hindu they call it Satchitananda, being, knowing, and bliss, or being, knowing, loving to be. So everybody has that being. Everybody has the awareness of being. Nobody is unaware. And this is it. What the tradition says, that this is the truth, and everything else is not. Like they call it 5 factors. You wanna say a word on it?
No, the other 2 are nama and rupa, name and form. Name and form are maya, illusion. But the existence, consciousness, bliss, or the awareness of being is There was the Nama Rupa, the name and the form. That's what we've done. We've learnt words, labels, and put the names and forms. I am this person, I am this body. That's the name and form. That's the Maya. They don't exist.
So awareness of being is a reality, and the manifested world is illusion, is Maya. And everyone is aware of the being. And like Terry was pointing, he knows that he is. And everyone else knows that we are. So we are not unaware, we are aware. And this is it, this is all there is to it. But on top of it, there is idea that yes, but I am a separate, inferior, confined. Now, as a life, space, totality, I confine myself to the tiny little shape of the body. Of course it's tight. Of course it's uncomfortable. Like the water, how you can try and squash it. And of course the senses, yes, they make it real, like, emotions, yes, sure, they create vibrations that if I take them as personal, oh, this is so mine. No, the vibrations, the emotions, they're as impersonal as everything else, as the sounds. The emotion comes, let's say, yesterday I'm riding a bike and the truck almost parked on me. The vibration of fear, came up. But it wasn't mine, it was just response of the body. Cats have responses like this too. They're physical, but they do have them. They are not personal. But this is what the body-mind says, the machine. But I'm still the life that is running the body and expressing as thoughts, feelings, emotions, and everything else. Just as if you have different radios, like I was bringing up the example because I think it's not even a radio, like, you have different devices and the same electricity is making those devices alive. Like the electricity is fueling computer, there are different screens on the computer, different thoughts, different mechanisms. There is a radio, television, they tune to different channels, but they are all worth nothing if you cut off the power, if you cut off the electricity. So they all actually, the means through which the electricity, the power can express itself. So the body-mind mechanism is only the means through which life can express itself. How can life look if it doesn't have an eyes? So I, life, the space, have given myself eyes. So now I can see forms, Maya, illusion, nice. So now I, life, have given myself the body that can feel emotions, that can experience thoughts. Cool, now the game started. Before, I just am, and there's nothing to it. I can't even be aware of my being, because I am, just like in a deep sleep, in a dream. I don't even know that I am. There is awareness, there is nothing else. So we all, every one of us, none can deny the sense of presence, the awareness of being. And this is it. What I am is a concept. I am the body, concept. I am the mind, concept. I am the ego, concept. They're all just stories that we put on top of that sense of presence. And when the concepts or stories are recognized as the dream, what prevails and what stands out is the sense of presence, that awareness of being. And it stands out so wide that it becomes blissful. And that's what so-called Bob has 42 years over since he met Nisargadatta and he saw through the illusion of the whole appearance. The awareness of being now, this is the reality. Everything else is beautiful, is to be loved, is to be appreciated, is to be acted out, the body will do its thing, but it's secondary because it is Maya. So awareness of being is reality, all the rest is Maya. He can see the Maya, he can love the Maya, he can appreciate the Maya, but awareness of being is the main thing. The stillness of being is the main thing. And 3 months ago, he had hip operation. He's been in a hospital. And he's been, since then, a lot of different painful stories were coming up. And he was happy. On the bottom, underneath the pain, that of course when he was moved, there was a scream going on. The body didn't, there is an instinct. As you said, there is an instinct in kind of, is programmed in this biocomputer.
Survival mechanism.
Totally. And wonderful. How cool. But when this wasn't threatened in any way, he was just lying down in hospital, completely immobile, completely reliant on the food they give him, completely in silence, with the light and a smile in his eyes. Totally happy, totally content, just like the cat lying in the sun. When the sun ray comes up and they're relaxing, they're happy to be. So nobody can deny the being. This was nice. Maybe you should say, Terry, about that. I love the way you actually explain how the identification with the presence is the last one to go. Because the presence never goes. And you have such a beautiful way to say it.
I'm trying to remember it now.
When you were saying that you're seeing thoughts, but who is seeing thoughts? There was still a me, and then the next step.
Yeah. So that so I got to see and understand what was being said here. I saw it. I saw, and somehow I intuitively knew that what was being said here was the truth. It was actually correct. And I had no more questions came up, like zip. There's no more questions. I wasn't interested in hearing anybody say anything anymore because I knew, I heard it before. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So there was kind of like...
Arrogance.
There's just kind of like nowhere to go. I just found a place that there was just nowhere to go anymore, you know. And yet, and I could see quite clearly that my idea of myself, or the idea of the me, I could see really clearly was based on nothing but thoughts. I could see that, you know. But having seen all that, I still felt like I was stuck. I still felt like I was here. I still felt like there was a sense, like there was this personal sense, not even a personal sense, but a sense of me-ness here. And I knew that had to go. I knew that had to go. And I didn't know, and I knew there was nothing I could do to make it go. I knew that, you know, yet here it is, you know, there's this. And then the last little piece for me, the realisation that I had, and the last piece of the puzzle, let's say that I saw, was that there was still an identity here, even regardless as to how much I saw, there was still a sense of, or an idea of, a me here. And that last little bit of meanness that was there, what I didn't realise was that what it also does, and what it's always done, by the way, I just didn't realise it, what it's always done is it claims ownership of that sense of presence. I'm that too. I'm this, and I'm the sense of presence. Another way of putting that is I'm the body, if you like. Yeah? Because presence is experienced here. You take that body away, presence is gone.
Conniving.
Yeah. And I saw, I just, oh. And fucking hell. Oh. And it was the last little bit that this false identity was hanging on to. And then I saw why we're so fucking confused and why this can take, for some, so fucking long to realise or to awaken to. Because that me, even if you haven't been exposed to this, is always identifying with the sense of presence. Always is.
It's how the sense of presence expresses through the mind, is the thought I had.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But what you said earlier about the singularity, there's a beautiful quote in the Buddhist text. but at rest in its uncontrived singularity without adding anything to it.
Yeah. And I think the closest we can get to that verbally is I. I. Nothing even when you say that yourself, nothing gets attached to it at all. Does it? If you really check it out. And the other thing too is that's what I was trying to point to before, Bob. When you say, and you can test it for yourself, when you say, you know, my car, my body, my mind, my thoughts, my feelings, and so on and so forth, that's kind of a given. And we're pretty comfortable with that. Yeah, pretty comfortable with that. Except, and I don't know, just try it, when we say, my I. I don't know about you, but the I kind of goes, you ain't fucking claiming ownership of I.
Yeah.
It's natural. You kind of, I don't know, there's just, Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So if you really feel that and see that, what fucking reality does this so-called entity have that's saying, my I? Really? It kind of blows it all out the water, and what are you left with? I. You're just left with that singularity, you know. And some people will get that and some won't, and you'll get it when you get it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're just seeds you're planting, maybe.
Yeah,
throwing out there.
that's all.
They grow in their own time.
Yeah, yeah.
I see how it gets rid of all that other stuff. Fortunately for me, I tend to have, like when Kat said before, you have a single thing and space around it. I tend to, still separate it out. But then when, the I am that, I've always just had to leave I alone and am and just go with that. Isness. I like Jeff Foster for that reason. It's very much is. But yeah, it's just different. But yeah, I can see how, for me, the rest of that blows things away. The my part. I.
So that my me that was identified with this sense of presence, and I didn't know it was. I didn't know it was. But what I knew is I went so far with this, like intellectually, let's say, I went as far as I could possibly go with it. I went, I don't know, I don't get it. I don't get it. I can't. I'm not experiencing it. I'm not experiencing this sense of freedom from self. I'm not experiencing that. I still feel uncomfortable. I still feel like I'm stuck in a body, and it feels things and does things, and there's still a me there that was judging that, and that when I saw that, I don't know how to put that into words, but and it just dawned on me. It just, I got angry. I remember. I was sitting there. I went, fuck, like, what now? Like I was kind of throwing out a prayer almost, What the fuck now, I know, and yet I fucking still feel like I'm here. I went, and I heard myself say that, like I still feel like I'm here. And it just fucking dawned on me, well, where else would I expect to find myself? But here, and I saw that little link, that last little grabbing that illusory self was hanging on to and claiming ownership of that sense of presence, like it claimed ownership of a phone, my phone, or it's my sense of presence, or it's my body, or my whatever. Yeah. But what popped up in me today, and I just went, I got to share this, was what I was talking about in relation to the I. My I. It doesn't wash. If you say it yourself and just get really honest with yourself and just see what happens with that, it doesn't wash. There's something in that singularity, if you like, that goes, You ain't claiming ownership of me.
Singularity recognises the disgenuous nature of the statement.
Yeah. Intuitively, you know it. You just know. And it's not an intellectual understanding. It just goes, there's just a, you're not fucking claiming ownership of that.
Yeah.
Probably I is so programmed to be the only thing that does ownership. The only thing that does ownership is really weird. It's too big a hurdle to own, you know.
My inquiry used to be who is or what is the I, but the mind would just stop. I would sit with that. Like you have who am I question, I would say what is the I.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
I wouldn't even look what the questioner is because that would just stop it.
It does. It has to. It has to, because there's no duality. There's no split in even in the word or the sense of I. There's no split in it. It's not until we go, I am Terry, I am depressed, I am this, I am that, I'm comfortable in the world, I'm not comfortable in the world, I know what I'm doing, I fucking don't know what I'm doing. So when we add on to that I, that's where the identification begins, adding on to that. But to get back to that singularity, that I.
So I is self-awareness.
Well, it's still a word, but there's no split in it. It's as close as you can get. As I said before, it's as close as you can get verbally.
Right. So not I am, it's I.
Yeah. But there's also a process where you're encouraged to sit with the I am, which means sit with the presence, sit with your beingness. You can't say, I'm not. I am aware. So just sit in that sense of presence.
And see what tunes in with your radio.
Yeah.
Other people's pointers may be completely off and something comes out through your own transmitter receiver and that will be it.
Totally. You're the best teacher.
Yeah.
You are. That's why this is an invitation here, because it's not a matter of taking what anybody in here says as gospel. It's you're encouraged to have a look for yourself and know thyself, know yourself. Know. And you can only do that by... So everything that happens here is just a pointer. You have a look. Don't take what I say. You have a look.
So really, you're the only teacher, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
There is only one. There is
only
no one who is not
there's
it.
no one else.
There is only one. Yeah.
You are dreaming all of us. You are dreaming awakened beings in your dream, and this is all dream. It's only one.
Well,
Yeah.
See, all
Can't
those
get
moments
away.
when you're not thinking about it.
Can't get away.
interesting.
See, we think the world happens to us.
Yeah, I certainly did.
Everybody does. We think the world
Yeah.
is happening to us.
Yeah.
And somehow I've got to try and navigate my way around
Yeah.
and through the world.
Yeah.
Okay? And I often use the expression in here,
Yeah.
it's actually a 180. The world is as a result of you. It's not the other way around. It's not the other way around.
So
The
as
world
a result,
isn't... The
as a result of my perception, is that what
you being there.
being
Yeah.
there?
You being there. The world isn't happening to you. You're creating the world.
Right.
It's a 180.
Including your body.
Yes.
That's part of the objects on the screen. That's part of the movie. Your body mind is also appearance in the space that you are.
That awareness, can I? Is that all right?
Yeah.
That awareness that you experience, you're looking at me now, okay? You're aware that I'm here and there's space between us and there's a room and, okay? That awareness that you're experiencing right now,
I'm creating.
that awareness, okay,
Yes.
let me put it another way. When the sun's up in the sky and it's shining,
Yes.
okay, and the light's shining down on you, yeah? What's the cause of the light?
The fraction of, I don't know,
Where's it coming from?
the sun.
Really? I just said it's a 180. if it's a 180, where's the light coming from?
From my eyes.
From you.
Yes.
From you.
Yeah.
From that awareness. From that. And it's the only thing, that's why I'm trying to get you to hone in on just your awareness right now, not what you're thinking about what I'm saying, just your awareness, okay? Is that awareness in your actual experience, is it contained within this manifestation? Is it contained within this? Look at me, look at me. Can you see my awareness? Hello? Can you see my awareness?
I'm not sure how to think about it.
Can you touch it? Can you grab it?
Can you, yeah? Can you see it? Can you grab it? Is it a thing? Can you see my awareness? Can you see anyone's awareness, for that matter?
No, you keep saying you can see my awareness.
You can't even see electricity that is lighting the bulb.
Are you aware of your own awareness?
Good question.
Are you not aware?
Better question.
Are you unaware?
Are you unaware?
Probably.
Are you unaware? Come on.
Of what? Of my
Are you
own
unconscious? Are
Are
you
you-
asleep?
Are you dead? Hello? Are you aware right now? Are you here? Is there a beingness there? Are you aware?
Yes, yes, yes.
Fucking hallelujah. Okay.
That's it.
That awareness
Yeah,
that's there,
yeah.
is it out here in this manifestation? It's not a trick question. It's a straight ask question. Is it? Can you see it out there?
No, no.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's interesting?
Yes.
When you look down at your body, okay?
Yeah.
Put your head down and look down at your body. Yeah? All you could possibly say is that there's an arm sticking out that side of awareness and an arm sticking out that side of awareness, and right here, where the head's supposed to be, there's just space and awareness. Is that your direct experience?
Yeah.
Yeah? You're not aware that you've got a head.
No.
When you're aware of awareness, when you're really aware, you can think you've got a head. You can totally think you've got a head. So I can see you've got a head, can't see your awareness. You can see I've got a head. You can't be aware of this awareness here because it's happening here.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But that awareness is not a thing that's in the manifestation as such. Is it?
No.
Come on, that's fucking huge to realise that. It's huge to realise that. So that's like that awareness is like a window. Can you see that? That it's like a window?
Yeah.
The whole manifestation's appearing in that.
Yeah, if Bob want to speak, let him.
Well, there's awareness of the manifestation, isn't there?
Yes.
Say it, Bob. That's it? Oh.
Then
Yeah, you can also call it aliveness or sentience, because it may be easier to sense that. You can sense the sentience in your body, but you can't do it
Yeah,
out
good
of it.
point. Yeah, good point. Aliveness. Yeah, good point.
Okay, we over time now, I guess.
So why are we all going through all of this? Why don't we just create it as one?
Because you wouldn't be aware.
We are. That's okay. That's what you're trying to say. We were.
How,
But why are we manifesting as different beings in
Why
dresses and
Why not?
dresses
it doesn't
Yes.
it doesn't
He had the best answer. Just say it again, Robin. Why?
Oh, I just said we're not, but I can't
That-
remember what you said.
That's it. The best answer. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? It's a magnificent game. It's a beautiful play. It's exquisite. It's spectacular.
What's the point?
How could it know itself How could that singularity know itself if it's just I
And even
and
though
only I? Okay? How could it know itself if it didn't split off? If it didn't manifest? How could it know itself? You're asking why? Like really? You're like a dead centre.
But why there's billions of us with this different perceptions, and yet we're supposed to be all one awareness, really?
There's one perception experiencing itself as billions.
One perception. She's intrigued by my dumb questions.
No, they're great questions. They're great questions.
it's cool.
One perception that experiencing awareness, different awareness, or what?
Let's just say there's one perception.
Yeah.
This is a pointer, okay? It's not dead accurate, but it's close enough. Let's just say that there's one perception experiencing itself as everything. All human beings, all crickets, all ants, all trees, all planets, all everything.
and
That one source.
think why would you want to answer, and how happy would you be, and how happy would you be, satisfied would you be if you know why? It would be an intellectual story. What is the point? Oh, the point is this and that and the other. The mystery is killed to start with. It becomes flat and meaningless, and then you can have judgment about it. And instead, you have this magnificent, exquisite appearance on which you have no idea why it exists, because you forgot why you created it. But when you remember, you will feel all that bliss of being and the love of being, and you will know. You forgot why you created it.
Yeah.
That's the point.
You did this. You did this. You did this. You created all.
All
You
your
created
fault.
me. How dare you?
It's all your fault.
And it's true. It's true. But I'm not talking to your me when I say that at all.
To
Okay.
my eye.
Okay. That I am. That I am.
Thanks for the support. Thanks for the background support. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, the internet is playing out. I guess it's time to stop it.
Yeah.
He gives me clues.
And thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah.
He gives me kind clues.
Good.
You can save face. I can save.
Clue do it, like if it works, it's okay.
I don't charge.
It's very sweet.
Eventually got into yoga, became a yoga teacher.
Especially not being filmed.
Yeah.
I've got to save face in front of the camera.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it now because the internet is playing out
Oh,
anyway.
that's good.
So
Goodbye.
yeah, we've got quite a few people watching right now and throughout the movie, so you're gonna be famous. Thank you, everyone.
I always
Thanks,
wanted to be
guys.
famous, but I didn't know I was going to be famous this way.